Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Coach's Corner East from the Galion Pizza Hut on this Wednesday evening. So glad to have you aboard. And our show is brought to you in part by Steve Kurtzman and Associates at Innovative Recycling, 352 South Street in Galion. Candy Bolin at Bolin Realty, 2 blocks west of the Uptown Galion Square. John Cross at Cross Carpet and Custom Floors, 302 North Seltzer Street, downtown Crestline. And tonight, we're going to be talking about a rewind of week 6 of the high school football season, moving into week 7. A little later on, it'll be the Crestline Bulldogs in to talk about a tough loss down at Ridgedale and getting ready for Waynesfield Goshen. Colonel Crawford coming off their big rivalry win over Winford, and they retain the Iron Plow Trophy. They will look to continue their winning ways as they take on Mohawk this week. And to kick it off, it'll be the Galion Tigers looking to get off the schneid a little bit, having lost 2 in a row, heading on the road to Shelby. Before we get to them, I do want to remind you that we're brought to you in part by Terry Gribble and Associates at your Galion Community Center YMCA, Dr. Erica Schieber at Bucyrus Veterinary Service, 222 West Mary Street in Bucyrus, Rod Steiger and Associates at the Pizza Hut here in Galion and Bucyrus, our host since 1992, as well as Luann Krebs at River's Edge Embroidery, Screen Printing and Signs, sponsor of our phone board t-shirts. And back to the microphone we go in another week, week 7 coming up, and it's head coach Matt Dick and the Galion Tigers. Coach, thanks for joining. I certainly appreciate you being back.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. And tough loss last week. You were at home to Clear Fork. A team that had been playing pretty well. Their losses were to teams that were really good. And you fell to them 36-21. That now puts you at 3-3 overall and 1-2 in the MOAC. And really the thing that really kicked you out, 24 unanswered points. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, hats off to Clear Fork. They came out and won the game in the second half. We're a young team, and we're still trying to figure out how to win the game in the fourth quarter. Our defense, had some struggles early on, but we made some really good halftime adjustments and really shut them down. And I just kept telling the offense, hey, we're going to get the ball back. We're going to get the ball back. And I think we had 2-3 shots with the ball in our hand to go down and either win it or tie the game, and we just couldn't do it. Even at the very end of the game, when we were down more than 2 scores, though, I did like that our team kept battling, and Cooper Kent basically led a drive, basically 100 yards all the way down the field. He ended with a pick, but we got all the way down like the 4-yard line. So there's lots of bright spots, but you only get so many shots to win the game, and we're going to have to find a way to do that. And I think we're going to keep growing as a team and as a coaching staff. And I like some of the stuff we're doing. We're getting better each week. We just got to find a way to win the fourth quarter. And the MOAC, it seems like every week it's going to be a fourth quarter win. That's just how the MOAC is, and our young guys got to get used to that. And we got to keep trying to find better positions to put them in so they can make those big plays to win the game.
Yeah, you got to play a full 48 for sure. You got off to a great start. Cooper Kent, 55-yard touchdown pass to Hanif Donaldson at the 10-16 mark of the first quarter, and they hooked up again at the 8-15 mark of the first quarter on a 63-yard touchdown pass and catch, and you led 14-0. Colts came back 2 TDs. Kent hooked up with Landon Campbell for 9-yard TD pass at the 4:09 mark of the second quarter, and you led 21-12. And the Clear Fork quarterback, Victor Skoog, got a 2-yard touchdown run with 20 seconds left in the half, and you took a lead in the locker room 21-20. Did that late touchdown for them do anything from a mindset defensively as you're going in the locker room, albeit you still have the lead?
Yeah, I think that late touchdown, with time running out, they find a way to score. I think that was huge for them. And also when they came out in the second half, they threw a big ball, got some momentum going, but they got all the way down. I think it was like 4th and 4. Okay, and on that 4th and 4 drive, they scored a touchdown, and we had a couple players get banged up on that play, and that really changed the whole momentum of the game right there. So the score right before the half and the score coming out, those 2 plays, I'm sure our defense would love to have back. But on the same note, I love how they kept battling, and they gave our offense a chance to win late. We just couldn't quite put it together.
Your comment that you had made, I really do love how our offense came out and really had a good performance in the first half against a good defense. Hats off to their defense for adjusting and shutting down our run game. And that's something that you kind of hung your hat on for most of the year, be it Hanif or other people running the ball. And it was really complete opposite. It was more of a passing game because they took that element away from you. As much as you may have been disappointed with the running performance of your team, were you really happy with the way the passing went?
Yeah, you got to give Cooper Kent a lot of credit. You know, he's not a real mobile quarterback, but man, can he throw the ball? He can diagnose defenses. And, you know, we watched film, and I can tell you that he's still a sec late on a couple of throws. But when he cleans that up, that's going to make his completion percentage go up. But his yards, he threw for 350. Landon Campbell had some huge pop pass catches. Both Cooper McCabe and Landon Campbell out of the backfield on play action had some huge catches. Kyle Faust, we hooked him up with a couple posts. Jordan Borders was open on a couple times. I'm not sure we quite hit him until late in the fourth. But it was a whole team effort from the receivers and the quarterbacks and all the blocking. And I think getting Cooper Kent enough time to throw, I think that's kind of where our offense went. They have less receivers going out, but it gives him the protection he needs. And as he releases the ball a little quicker, it's just going to get better and better. On the same note, I do think the running game, repeatable plays. That's what we keep talking about. Every once in a while, a kid's going to make a play. I don't think that's it. But sometimes they're in a base defense. We know where they're at. It's a solid, inside zone or a power play, and we need to get 3 to 5 yards because that's what sets up all that play action stuff to go for bigger plays. And on Friday, it became like 1 and 2 yard gains on runs. Lucky for us, the play action pass and the rollout, we're still working. Hopefully we can get a little more balance, and we talked about repeatable plays, both running and passing. Rolling out and just throwing curl out, that type of stuff you can do over and over again if you do it on time. So we're definitely working on those repeatable plays this week and just focusing on what we can get better at.
And when you keep doing those repeatable plays, the defensive backfield starts to cheat a little bit, and that's when maybe you can pop a big one as well. Change that route off a little bit and break it off and head downfield, so you got an opportunity there. You talk about the rushing game, only 36 yards total rushing offense, but again, Cooper Kent, 16 to 36 passing for 354 and 3 TDs. But what stood out to me, he threw to 8 different receivers, and spreading that ball around, that's pretty important.
Absolutely. Don't be in a one-man show. I know everybody knows who Neef Donaldson is, but we got some other seniors that really stepped up lately, and I'm excited for that, and hopefully they'll continue to develop. And, a guy like Gabe Ivey, we've challenged him. He's a sophomore, but he's a special kid. Those Ivey brothers have been through here before. His dad, he carries a lot of weight with that name, but I can't wait till he starts having the type of performances I've seen in practice, because, man, he's a heck of a practice player. He's made tons of plays, and I just can't wait till our fans and our team get to see him perform on Friday night the way he does in practice. And I think that'll open our offense up even more.
Clear Fork was pretty balanced. They rushed for 140, passed for 197. From a turnover standpoint, you had 2 turnovers, but you had to like the discipline, just 3 penalties for 15 yards.
Yeah, pretty clean game. I still don't like, if we fumble the ball because they hit us, that'd be great. But we fumbled another snap, handoff, mesh point, that type of stuff we got to get rid of. But I think part of that's sophomores we're playing.
Yeah, for sure. Take a break here before we talk to the young men around the table. We're brought to you in part by Don Barn Associates at the Galion Building and Loan Bank, Matt Studer at Spitzer Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and Kia, 1 mile east of the Richland Mall, Mark Osborne and Associates at E-Crane International, serving worldwide markets from the Galion Industrial Park. First up, we have sophomore Ethan Horning with us. And Ethan, thanks for joining. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing really well. Position on the team this year?
Center and left guard.
Center and left guard. Okay, so Coach talked about some of those problems of not getting popped and losing the ball. Have you had problems getting it back to your quarterback, or has that come along pretty well?
Here and there, there's problems, but...
What do you think? Is that lack of concentration, or is it just something more on the physical side that it's just not meshing?
More just like a bad snap or something like that.
Okay, so you're coming off of 2 losses in a row, and you're going to be playing a tough Shelby team on the road who likes to throw the ball quite a bit. What are going to be the keys to victory in your mind?
Getting to the right spot, playing low, nasty, taking the right steps.
Okay, very good. Well, good luck to you. Enjoy it, and keep working on those snaps. You'll get them down for sure.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming by. Dalton Sparks is up next. No relation to me that I'm aware of. Dalton's a junior, and what position on the team this year for you?
I'm playing right tackle right now.
Okay, and was it odd for you as being part of that offensive line unit to kind of go away? You found a team in Clear Fork that took that running game that's been so successful for so many weeks, and all of a sudden you're not getting those normal yards, and now you have to go and, oh gosh, I got to do pass blocking now when I'm so used to doing run block. Was that difficult to transition?
Not really. It was like, because we practice it so much in practice, pass blocking, but I like to run block a lot more. But
Why is that?
just to hit people.
Rather than pass pro,
Yeah.
you can go
Yeah,
out and
wait for
actually
them.
engage. Yeah. What was their rush like? I mean, were you guys able to handle that? Did you keep your quarterback clean? Did Cooper stay up and not have any problems with that?
I felt like he was pretty clean. I didn't see him go down too much.
And even if you may have been holding, and your other guys, not saying that you did, but only 15 penalties, it had to be a clean game. Either the officials were letting you play or you kept your hands open. What do you think it was?
A little bit of both. I think on every play, someone holds a little bit.
That's exactly right. As a former official, I can attest to that. I know that exactly. So Shelby's going to be a very tough opponent. Usually has a pretty big line. Is it the same this year?
I think they're pretty big, but I don't think they're that big.
But you guys have size in and of yourself, and it should equalize itself.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. It'll be a great environment over there at Skiles Field, and hope you come away with a win.
Thank you.
You bet. Next up, we have Coen Fuson. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep.
Coen, you were a sophomore as well. Position on the team?
Receiver and defensive back.
Receiver and defensive back. And do you prefer one side of the ball over another?
Offensive, definitely.
Offense, okay. And you, as a receiver, have to like the fact that Cooper or whoever's a quarterback is not really locked into one target. You know, you think about from a Browns standpoint, and I don't know if you're a Browns fan, but people talk about OBJ and getting all the touches because they feel they have to get it to him. How nice is it to have a quarterback's mindset that says, I'll spread it around to who's ever open?
I mean, it's nice to get an opportunity. I mean, all you need is a chance to, grow.
Yeah, that's right. And the more opportunities you can get, the better you're going to feel about that. What's been the biggest emphasis in practice this week as you get ready for a really good Shelby team?
Really just making our receivers better, doing good on scout.
Okay, all right, real good. And are you playing mostly JV ball? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, how's that team doing this year?
I mean, we're doing all right, but not as good as we could be.
Okay, what do you need to do to get better, to get more wins as the year finishes out?
Get more physical.
Okay, very good. Well, thanks for stopping. I appreciate it. Next up, we have junior Jaden Scott. Hi, Jayden. How are you?
Good.
And position on the team?
Tight end and D-line.
Tight end and D-line. Okay. And what specifically on the D-line?
Leah.
Okay.
Ends.
Ends. Okay. All right. And are you playing mostly varsity, JV, or a little bit of both?
JV.
JV. Okay. And as you're working with the scout team, getting the first team to get ready, what have you done this week in practice to simulate what Shelby's going to do? What's been the biggest thing?
Just be physical.
Yeah, because they'll bring it, won't they?
Yeah.
So when you think about the game Friday and even Saturday, when you play them Saturday, for you, how are you going to translate that being physical and you're just going to have to go out and do it?
Yeah.
What's the biggest key to that? Is it a mindset, or is it just that big muscle in your chest that says, I want to do it?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both, okay. All right, well, good luck this week and bring home a win.
Thank you.
You bet. Next up, and finally, Ryder McGabe. Hi, Ryder.
Hi, how you
Good
doing?
to see you. And position on the team?
I'm a running back and middle linebacker.
Okay. And I'm sure that you enjoy the hitting at the Mike linebacker position, right?
Yeah, it's nice.
All right. But Coach had talked about and said that you're doing a nice job out of the backfield, catching passes, things like that. Was that a surprise to you when Clear Fork took away your run game and all of a sudden you got to kind of switch modes a little bit?
Yeah, it was a little surprising starting off with such a good pace and intensity, and then them switching up on us.
In the huddle, was there any kind of frustration, either verbally or in the eyes of your teammates that say, geez, Peaks, this is what we do well, and they're stinking taking it away from us? Was there any kind of that, or just, hey, we got to adjust on the fly here?
There was a little bit of confusion, but everybody knew that we had to adjust.
Yeah, does that make that easier when you have a team like that took that away, now going into a big game at Shelby? Does it give you any confidence to say, hey guys, we can do this, we can switch on the fly?
I mean, it shows us that no matter what the other team does, that we can always switch it up and play the best way we can either way.
Yeah, absolutely, very good. Well, good luck this week, have a good time and enjoy it.
Thanks.
You bet. We're going to take another break here before we go back to Coach Matt Dick, and just want to remind everybody that our show is brought to you in part by Steve and Chuck Keller at Keller Auto Parts, your Napa dealer, Uptown, Galion, and Crestline. Marie Mounts at the Platinum Insurance Agency is the agent, 131 Harding Way East, Uptown, Galion. Joe Kleiman Associates at the Galion office of First Federal Bank of Ohio. And I mentioned, Coach, tough one coming up, Shelby Whippets, who just continue to put out good football teams year after year. Robert Mahaney just does a nice job, and he's got some good lineage there related to the Ashland University head football coach, former Galion head football coach. And the Whippets are 5-1 overall, 3-0 in the MOAC. And they took down Marion Harding, a team that beat you a couple weeks ago. And they beat Marion Harding 38-12. They're averaging almost 44 points per game, giving up about 19 a game. And they've won 11 of their last 14 regular season games. They're a pretty thorough team, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially on offense, they got lots of weapons, throw the ball around well. Defense, they've been a 4-3 for a long time and do a nice job on that side of the ball as well.
They, through 5 weeks, I don't have last week's statistics, their quarterback, Marshall Shepard, MOAC leading passer, 118 of 172 for 2,030 yards. That's almost 69% completion rate, 25 TDs and 1 pick. Those are good numbers, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, they got lots of good athletes. They do a lot of good things over there at Shelby. They've had a run of talent lately. I'm excited to see when that changes, sooner or later, I hope. But on the same note, I think this week is all about us. How can we get better? And, we talked today, we had some injuries, got some different guys that are getting a shot. And I think with everything that, if something bad happens, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Someone else gets a chance to make a play, go out there and show coaches and show the team that he's a varsity player. And I'm excited to see some of our young guys are going to get more shots this week. And how can we get better? And every kid on our team, especially those guys that are on varsity, have something to work on. And the question is, are you going to fix that this week or not? And we got 4 weeks left to become a better football team. And I think that was really the message we sent them today. And our kids just ate it up. We had a great practice. And we're going to go out there and compete on Friday.
With a team like Shelby that's obviously likes to throw the ball, are they necessarily a deep threat, or they throw a lot of underneath and just kind of short passes and then let their athletes get in space and do what they do?
I think Andre Hill and the Bowman kid are as good a high school receivers as there are. And when you have 2 kids like that, you can do whatever you want. And I got to experience that a little bit when we had Isaiah Alston and Hanif Donaldson. And when you could put guys on each side, it really stresses out defenses to have that many good DBs. And I think that's what they do. And I think our defense is going to try to take those 2 guys away as much as humanly possible. But they're going to make plays eventually. And our offense is going to have to control the time of possession.
Mm-hmm. Certainly your defensive backs will be tested and covering guys like Bowman and Andre Hill. But talk about the stress of the importance of the guys up front and your linebackers to get pressure on Shepard to make him uncomfortable and maybe throw the ball earlier than he really wants to these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you put some DBs in tough positions, especially if it's a linebacker running with a receiver, maybe you got a blitz going, he may be able to guard that kid for 1, 2 seconds. On the 3rd second, if we're not hitting the quarterback, that's really not on the DB. That's on the front 7 or front 5 or front 6 or front 4 maybe sometimes this week. It's on those guys to get that type of pressure. And I think if everybody does their job, good things can happen. But eventually they're going to have some success. They're going to make some throws. They're going to make some catches. But I will tell you, it gets really hard when you get closer to that goal line to run a 5-wide offense. And they do a great job of practicing. I'm sure every 5-wide team knows that you got to spend a lot of time on the goal line. They do some nice things down there, but it gets hard to run an offense like that when you get to the goal line. So defensively, can you have some timely stops, even if it's at the goal line? That's key to picking up a victory.
When you get down there, that's when you see those quote-unquote legal picks, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
And you gotta be able to discuss with your DBs who's going to give up who and who's going to run with who. And I'm sure that's something that you've concentrated on this week.
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, very good. Well, good luck. It's a neat environment, sometimes a tough environment to play over there, but Skiles Field, I don't know how many more years they're going to be down there before they go out to the high school, but it certainly will be, I'm sure, a packed house. Should be a beautiful evening and a great experience, and just enjoy the experience.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for coming out tonight. We'll take a break here. Colonel Crawford is in the house. We'll be ready to talk to them right after this timeout.